Yeah. Hello, everybody, and I know it's been a long time since you last saw me, you know, a new video, anyways. Um, I got myself a, a new iPad. First time I ever had was actually a working iPad. The last two iPads I had, a lady that I know gave them to me, except they were password protected. I didn't know her phone number, didn't know where she worked. She was a nice lady, but the paperwork that she had that's supposed to be passwords on it, none of it was for it. So I had two really old iPads. Like, think about the original iPad with the big ass fat cord, the plug actually, and then when it came to the newer end where it had more like this design. But anyways, um, since that was completely useless to me, I got rid of them. I was also given is like an old laptop, but the problem again was besides it was password protected, and what she gave me was not even any of the passwords for it. Plus, she didn't even hand me was a power supply that goes for it, the brick that you connect to your laptop to the wall. And since this was a much older machine, sorry, trying to find the actual power supply that would go for it, and plus I had was one that would work, and well, I tried making it work. It just would not turn on. It was gone. And plus, my old laptop that I had, it broke down, and I was buying supplies for it to fix it and whatnot. And somebody stole my backpack that had all of my electronics and stuff on it. But since how I protect my shit, that even if you took the hard drive out, it's still password protected. I am obsessed with password protecting a lot of my shit, and I don't use the same password for everything. And besides that, I also do is with the laptops. Each one of them that I've owned personally, I always make sure that it's also a password on the BIOS chip, so that before Windows starts on it, because these were Windows machines, even when I had a Linux machine, I just separate the thing onto two drives, and if you took one of them out, it wouldn't work. But either way, all of my computers I've ever had, I always did was password protect was the hard drives, the operating system for your internet. Every folder that I have, it has a different password on it, except for shit that I don't really care about, like, throwaway games or whatever. I usually leave that unprotected, more or less, because these are like, games I didn't care. It wasn't really that important. Plus, a lot of them I had to fix myself and whatnot. And then, of course, like I said, my BIOS chips are always protected. Right now, I'm trying to get used to like staring over here because the camera's like right there on this tablet. Of course, I'm going in selfie mode so I can see. This is the first time I really used was the YouTube app, and this is the first actual video that I'm making right now. Except yesterday I did was a live stream, but it was a test, and I just didn't save it. I just threw it away, deleted it. But it was live onto YouTube, and I didn't know I could actually, live stream using the iPad, all this. Because I know with Android, which I really hate it, that like even if you have some really good Android device of any kind, even a phone, you cannot, you know, record yourself or live stream. Well, you can record yourself, yes, but you cannot do it live streaming, you know. Even if you have a really good internet for it, no, it will not let you. It's like, F you ain't going to do it. You can record, but you ain't going to do is live stream with your Android device. It's like, what the hell, Google? You know, think about it. YouTube is owned by Google, or actually goes all the way up to, you know, to Alphabet, which Google created Alphabet to own itself and owns all the other little companies below it. So, yeah. But it makes sense of why you create another company to own your main company, so they can deal with all of the acquisitions and mergers and the whole paperwork BS, you know, the corporate crap, while each individual company could basically deal with their particular thing, where all the other BS can go to the main corporate office, which happens to be, you know, Alphabet, to deal with the bigger issue of crap. But, you know, like YouTube, they have their corporate offices that has to deal with all the other shit. But anyways, besides all of that stuff, I'm gonna try figuring out what my password is for the other apps that I have on here that I used to own on, you know, doing live streaming on my laptop. When I can do that, I'm probably going to be able to do is, I want to do is a screen recording while I'm drawing on the iPad. So you would have like me this, but of drawing. But if I'm going to be doing the library, yeah, they have really good internet, but it's powered up and cool, or it's not ice cold anymore, but it's cool. But at least I would have a nice quiet place to work while doing live streaming, as it were, which would be really cool to do. So yeah, and I got myself is a new sketchbook. Yay, sketch. So what I can do is like draw and everything, you know. So it's not too expensive, not too cheap either. That's good. So yeah, I'm gonna try to figure this out. I'm gonna do is screen recording at least. I'll start doing that. I'll try to do that tomorrow. Yeah, because the library is only open from around here from Tuesday to Thursday, from 1 to 7 p.m. 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. So not specific time. So that's actually when I'm going to do is live streaming when I can. I don't know if I'm gonna all do it on YouTube, but I'm gonna see about the program that I like using, seeing if I could get back onto Twitch, because I tried doing this before, you know, just mess around. I might actually end up doing it on Twitch and YouTube and whatnot. So yeah, that will be a few of the things that I'm going to be doing. Oh, and my other video projects that I had, some of them I am working on, like the animations and stuff. When I have free time, I mess around with Flip a Clip. It's like, I know how to animate, but the programs I use are for, well, Windows systems and also for Macintoshes. But think about the programs I've used, a lot of them don't exist anymore, or they do, except they changed it so much that it is completely different than what it was before. used to do is like kind of a cell animation using the computer, and actually hand drawing and some stuff I just drew using the program itself, or even with Photoshop. And I'm talking about really old Photoshop from the 90s. And the program I used for animation like that was Director, which they changed it to, I don't even know if it still exists, but it last time I know, they did change the name, and it's not exactly what I had before. And yeah, it has like the a really bad computerized voices that was used for it, and I never used that. My only biggest problem was with one of my projects that I made when I was doing this in college when I was learning the program. I had was an audio clip, and I had was the animation that I did. But when I was trying to sync the audio clip with the animation decided to do was go faster than it was supposed to. So it just kept on repeating the same action over and over and over again, while the audio itself just literally looped itself constantly. I'm like, oh god, because I already recorded it and I timestamped it. Okay, it's going to be from this time to this time, and already know its length. Let's say the audio clip was like, what was it? Let's say about 3 minutes of dialogue and extra noises that I had was multiple channels for this audio, the background audio, which I can change the volume, and I did this, and I think it was only 2 audio tracks, maybe more, but I did was overdubbing and change the volume. So yeah, and then I was doing an animation, but the problem was that even though I had the timestamps and it all synced up, supposed to be synced up, by the way, of how many frames per second, all that shit. But it decided, no, we're just going to continue looping the animation and speed it up more so than it really was. And it was supposed to be for, let's say, 3 minutes for this particular animation, but the thing was, it kept on looping. Why? I don't understand why it looped along with the audio, and I've played it and just went past 3 minutes, and it is just continue going this all over again. It's like, what the hell? But the program itself of Director, the other good thing about it was that it taught, well, one of the projects that we did was making video games, and also more interactive websites. This is when people were just starting to learn HTML and JavaScripting. I actually took classes on, web design and web graphics and all that jazz, and plus I was already taking C, which we were taught was C++, because that was the newest version of C that came out. I already learned Fortran, Cobol, the different flavors of BASIC, and I was learning C, and also learned what was assembly. I already learned that years before I took was the C programming, and then later on I taught myself is Python, but with Director, with that class, we had to learn was AppleScript, and AppleScript was way too damn easy for me because of my already experience with Cobol and Fortran and the different flavors of BASIC, BASIC, QBasic, for Visual Basic, yeah. I made a lot of really cool programs that weren't that super great, even one that I call Tron, which was an antivirus program, but it had was a learning algorithm on it to what it did with Tron. It would do is take a virus, rip it apart, and take part of its code into itself. When it did was replicate Tron. So basically, I had Tron to do was literally make a copy of itself, but with pieces of the other thing. And I had it to do was also go after other antivirus programs. So Tron would do is destroy viruses, take parts of it to into its own code, almost like a bacteria or a virus of some sort, or a super virus, you know, you know, you know, or the microviruses that rip apart shit, to basically disable, viruses, and same thing with the megaviruses and shit that not too long ago we just realized what they really were. We just thought they were, weird single cell life forms. But I was doing this as a computer program where I wanted to do was it learn from it, of new viruses, how to, basically stop it, but also creating a new version of itself to try to be better than it originally was, but having aspects of other viruses. And it was just only for fun. And a lot of times, each generation it would go on until it just didn't work anymore. It just it just, and I cleaned the systems. I had was like literally these test systems that I ran, just running ideas on this. And Tron, the program Tron, even though when I first designed it, before that whole part, it's supposed to do is when it goes onto your computer, you're not supposed to be able to see it. What it ends up doing is stops, viruses, Trojan horses, and everything else, So it literally goes after, malicious code, and evil bots, basically. Think of it as a good bot that destroys the malicious bots and, viruses and Trojan horses and shit like that, So it goes after that, but it also takes out is your antivirus and anti-bot programs. It literally destroys those, like literally wipes it out of your computer. So when you come in, and then once it goes through your system, cleans it without you realizing it, it's not supposed to be tracked, because that's how I was designing it to do in tests. I would literally infect a hard drive with a whole mess of, ungodful, malicious programs and viruses and all that. And I would have it go attack it, literally destroy it. And the whole thing was it cleans it, and then it leaves. It's supposed to send it, how it broke it. It leaves your system, like literally it goes online, it's like leaves the system basically, and it deletes itself after it's done cleaning your system. It deletes itself after it wipes out your antivirus programs, your anti-bot, programs, all that stuff. After it got rid of all that, plus the viruses and all the bad stuff, it literally just makes a copy, sends it online, and if you're still hooked up, but if not, it will still delete itself. It's designed that it will set up is a task for your computer to not just delete and put you in the delete file, which a lot of stuff, but it literally writes over your shit, so you cannot recover it, literally. So remember, I was working on older Windows systems, so think of like um, before Windows 2000. I'm thinking of the original Windows NT systems, Windows 95, Win 98. You know, I was using 3.x basically because I altered my Windows 3. Whatever it was, and I had it literally running with my voice because I used was what was it? Trying to remember what the program was called. Was a particular name, but it's Dragon. Um, it's a Dragon. Basically, it was a voice recognition program. Had a longer name, but simply it's Dragon. It still exists to this day. Sometimes you got it free with certain video games. There was a series of Star Wars games. I had was a pack of these really old Star Wars games. No, not Star Wars. Star Trek. Excuse me. Star Trek is what I had, which had was Starfleet Command. The different Starfleet commands, and there was one that was you can choose to be either the Federation, the Klingons, the Romulans. It was kind of, think of it like a base builder or Command and Conquer, but within the Star Trek universe, as So you have was a different storyline for each of the factions that you chose. And it had voice clips, but it also was that you had to train it with your voice, and it used was Dragon. Naturally Speaking Dragon, that's what it was called. And it was a text editing it was not text editing, it was it worked with text editors, where it did was took your words and typed it, but there was other programs that used it that on that pack was that you can actually use it to do commands, instead of typing or hitting the certain functions and whatnot to do something, you literally talk to your computer and it does it. And there was also it was the Star Trek Encyclopedia, that really big book that they had was in the 90s, like the 94, 95 is when it came out. I think that's when it, because I had the book, but I also had the disc. When it was in the pack of discs, it had that where you talk to it and you can actually literally flip pages and whatever. This was the computerized version of it, which had was clips, which also had was a tour through the Enterprise D. So you can actually go around and see all the almost like physically being there, because they did multiple pictures of 360 of the whole entire set of each of the rooms, and had walkthroughs very similar to what it looks like on television. But again, they put up the walls that are behind it, where the cameras would be, and they just moved the walls around more or less, so that it would have a full 360, as if it was a completely sealed off rooms, the bridge, what it was. It was the bridge, the hallways, the Jeffries tube, the transporter rooms, the main engineering, some of the other rooms that were there of sets, including the captain's office and the Tim Ford and all the other, what else was there? Oh, the room where everybody goes around the round table, well, oval really, kind of ovalish long table where everybody's talking, kind of, the ready room. That was it, the ready room. So, yeah. So I used that to hook it up to my computer and literally have it talk to me, and I used sound clips that were from the programs that I had, including a game that was Outpost. For those that don't know what Outpost is, basically Outpost was a game where Earth was going to be hit by a giant asteroid, and this gigantic asteroid was called Vulcan's Hammer. So we already knew it was going to happen, and so your mission is using NASA data and stuff. So you build a ship, and you have to use resources that you started out with, and you can choose like how much supplies and how many people that you. And these are supposed to be educated people with engineers and stuff. You had to choose who's going basically, and you can send out as probes to different star systems. But the problem is they're pretty far away, and it takes a long time for any of the data will come back. So a lot of times I just said screw it with the whole, and plus I didn't go warp speed, so a lot of times I didn't bother sending, but sometimes I did was, okay, I want to try this solar system, so I'll launch ahead is the probe, but it's going to be there, so by the time my ship gets there, you have to understand that people are not going to be they're in suspended animation more or less. Supposed to be, that's what it is. And you have droids on there and other building supplies, and you had was an engine, or at least two of them, because the whole premise is when you get there, half of your shit gets stolen and half of the people basically fled and build a base on one area of the map, and you build a base on another, and they start out as the enemy. But no matter what toughness I put it, if I put it on really easy or really hard, no matter what, the enemy already died out. This, I could not understand why they programmed it this way. It made no sense that by the time you find them, you couldn't have a war with them or even trade with them, because there's nobody there. Everyone's dead by the time you find out, and you send any person in there, connect anything to it, you find out everyone that was part of that crew to go against you, they all died. They didn't even last a generation. No. A lot of times your own station, the people end up dead, but it continues going on because you still have access to robots to build stuff, but nothing's really running anything because it's all a city filled with dead people. Because you can kill off your people by sending them too early before you build anything. Because you're supposed to do is build up your stuff. And by the way, the reason why you want two engines, because the power supply that runs it, like I said, half of your stuff gets taken away. Well, guess what? If you only have one engine, they stole your engine. And they build their base, and you don't have one. So when you put something there, you need is what was the drive system for your starship to be placed down there to, be the main power supply for your city, as it were. But they stole it. if you only say, I just need that one, I don't need another one. I'd rather use more room for more people or supplies. They stole your shit. Either way, you get screwed. They take like half of your supplies, half of your robots, and one of your engines. If you had only one, that's what they took. So you're like, fuck. You know, you're screwed. Yeah, but it also was a lot of computers, computer voice, lines and stuff that audio samples, MP3s. It was done in back then. So I used that as like the computer talking to me, in different voices, but because I had was the Star Trek stuff, which had Michelle Roddenberry's voice on it, and then I had whoever did was the voice for the computer system for Outpost, because I like the responses and stuff, and I did was mess with my computer to do that, and I was basically fixing the operating system, making it more efficient, or at least to me. And that's kind of what I did on my own time and whatnot. Yeah. So